So one question that I get asked quite often is, how do I get my fragrance to last longer? I know longevity is a problem that we all face and we all think about, well, I'm only getting 2 or 3 hours from this, and with the money that I paid for this, I feel like I should be getting more bang for my buck. I'm going to be giving you some tips throughout the course of this video on how you can extend the longevity of your fragrance. I'm excited to share these lists or this list of tips with you very soon, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you about these tips and tricks that I personally utilize on how to increase the longevity of my fragrance, how to make it last longer, and how to prolong the duration of it so that I can enjoy it for many, many hours as opposed to just a few hours, I'll share all of that stuff with you in just a little while. But before I begin the video, I want to mention that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and also please give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It would really mean a lot to me. So how do you make your fragrance last longer? So the first disclaimer or the first caveat, whatever you want to call it, that I want to throw out there is you have to understand that some fragrances are just not going to last a long time, right? You can't get a fragrance that is heavy on bergamot and neroli and you want it to last 12 plus hours. It's not going to work like that. It just doesn't happen. So you have to understand that some fragrances, for lack of a better word, are predestined to last a long time depending on the notes that they contain, depending on the utilization of various fixatives, which are ingredients that contain a higher molecular structure and they allow the fragrance to last for a very long time. So you have to really analyze the note pyramid. And then you also have to look at the concentration. So something like an eau de cologne is not going to give you great longevity. Something like an extrait de parfum, okay, you can expect that that's going to last a bit longer on your skin. That's quite strong. And then of course, if you're wearing an attar, that's going to last possibly all day if it contains oud and rose and balsams and resins and all that good stuff. So again, understanding longevity I think is very important, and just know that, you know, fragrances are all cut from a different cloth. So no two fragrances are going to give you the same longevity, especially once you start to factor in reformulations. Sometimes the same fragrance will not give you the same longevity if it's been years apart from the time when you've initially purchased it. Okay, so that's number one. You have to understand the fragrance. Now, how do you actually make the fragrance last longer? Tip number one is you want to apply some kind of a moisturizer. So this is probably the most common thing that people do. You'll purchase an unscented lotion. You'll put the lotion on, and then you might want to wait a minute or two. You don't have to. And you spray the fragrance right on top of it. So let's say, hypothetically, it's a fragrance that was initially getting you 6 hours longevity. Now it's going to get you about 8 hours longevity because it clings onto that moisturizer. And in theory, the moisturization properties will linger on your skin, so will the fragrance. So moisturizing is very, very important. Now, the second tip is there are a lot of people out there that like to purchase the ancillary product of their fragrance. So for example, having the eau de toilette or the eau de parfum is one thing, but there are people who also like to purchase the deodorant, the shampoo, the body wash. So now it's kind of all over their body, right? They bathe their entire body from head to toe, and they also use the shampoo. So now the scent is lingering in their hair. So that's another way that you can increase the longevity of your fragrance, purchasing the ancillary products. Another recommendation that I would make is 100% make sure you spray in your hair. I say this because your hair produces oil, right? So the hair follicles produce oil, and oil kind of functions in a similar way as the lotion, where it's going to cling on to the moisture. So it does cling onto your hair, and if you're moving around a lot, people around you are going to be able to smell it as well. So applying to your hair, I'm not saying do like 10 sprays on your head, but for as long as you have hair, do like 2 sprays, and you might find that it's actually lasting longer on you. So that is a great way to extend the longevity of the fragrance. So here's another one. This might compromise the projection, but it will extend the longevity. And what do I mean by that? So whenever you're spraying on a pulse point, which is where the veins sit closest to the skin, that's where the heat is generated the most. And it's the heat that allows the fragrance to evaporate. So if you're spraying on a pulse point, the longevity might be compromised, but the projection will be amplified. So again, it's going to radiate off your skin. People are going to smell it, but you might find that several hours later, you don't smell it anymore because it all evaporated. Now, if you don't spray on a pulse point, but you spray on another area of your skin, let's say your forearm, right? Unless you have some crazy vascularity and they're like huge veins. But if you spray on your forearm, or if you spray on, maybe closer to your shoulders, which I do from time to time as well, you'll find that that will linger, but it's not going to be as loud of a projector as if you sprayed it on an actual pulse point, right? And the pulse point meaning where you check someone's pulse, right? To see if they're alive or not. So that's very important. I know there are a lot of people as well, and this is the next tip. There are a lot of people who like to use some kind of a fragrance primer or an underbody. So in other words, people will have a fragrance containing a singular molecule. It could be ambroxan, it could be hedione, it could be isoe super, and they will spray that fragrance on kind of as an underbody or a primer. They might wait a minute or two, and then they'll apply their fragrance on top of that. And what they've noticed is that that will actually help them with the longevity issues as well. So that's another way to make your fragrance last longer. And ultimately, we need to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of wanting our fragrance to last longer? And I think the inevitable and the obvious answer is that we just want to enjoy it for more hours in a day. So again, it's not even just a matter of, or am I spraying it on skin? Could I be spraying it on something else? No, you want other people to smell it on you, and you want to smell it on yourself ultimately. So another thing that I do is I spray on my clothes. I know this has probably happened to you where, you spray it on your shirt, and you wash the shirt maybe 3 days later or something like that, and you smell it and you're like, oh yeah, this still smells like XYZ fragrance that I wore 3 days ago. That's because scent will naturally cling onto different fabrics and different other types of surfaces, whereas on your skin, because your skin is the largest organ of your body, it will eventually get off your skin, right? Either through the evaporation process when you're, taking a shower or something like that. But if you spray on clothing, you'll find that it actually will last for more hours in a day. So that's a really big tip that I can give you as well. And, ultimately, if you're just worried about your fragrance not lasting long enough, for as long as you can afford it, don't be afraid or don't hesitate to bring the bottle with you. So bring the bottle with you if you're going to, a function or an event, or if you feel like, I'm going to apply it at 6 o'clock in the morning, and, I know my work day is not going to be done until, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., then bring a decant with you or bring the bottle with you and apply it again right around lunchtime. But of course, these are all tricks and techniques and suggestions that I would give you if you're looking to increase the longevity of your fragrance. And I hope they're helpful, but ultimately, I want this video to kind of serve as a forum of sorts. So if you have your own tricks that you love utilizing or something that works for you, because it's all highly personal and idiosyncratic, drop your comments below. I think we can all learn a lot from one another, and I don't think anybody should listen to my feedback as the end-all be-all of fragrance advice. I think everybody has their own way to make these matters work for them. So drop your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you took something of value from today's episode. And if you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up as well. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.